Welcome back to Turning Point Tuesday here on SecretSpool. I'm Nina, and tonight's story is for anyone who has ever felt stuck in a life they didn't choose. The kind of life that drains you slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you've forgotten what it feels like to want something. This is a story about exhaustion, but also about rediscovering passion. It's about a woman who reached her breaking point in a job that felt like it was swallowing her whole, and the surprising spark that pushed her toward the life she once thought she couldn't have. Let's begin. I'm 29 years old, and for most of my 20s, I've done everything I thought I was supposed to do. I went to college, earned a bachelor's degree in finance, landed a respectable position in the insurance world. On paper, it looked like a neat, stable life, one that made sense, one I should have been grateful for. But deep down, I knew I was living a version of adulthood that never really belonged to me. But here's the truth: I hate my job. Not just the mild annoyance people joke about on Mondays. I mean the kind of dread that settles in your stomach the night before. It makes me feel small, worn down, and constantly bracing for the next blow. I never expected a job could drain the color out of life, but this one has a way of bleaching everything dull. I'm an auto claims adjuster for an insurance company, and I spend nearly every waking moment tethered to a desk or glued to my phone, trying to walk people through policies they don't understand and don't want to understand. Every call begins at a 10 on the emotional scale, usually upset before I even answer. I try to stay calm, I try to help, but the truth is, no one calls me because they're having a good day. And even though I sympathize with them, the constant pressure wears on you in ways you don't notice at first. It's like living inside a storm that never ends. Every policy point I deny or explain becomes another crack of thunder. And no matter how hard I work, the sky never really clears. I am always waiting for the next bolt to strike, even in the silence. What I didn't expect, what I truly wasn't prepared for, was how much of my life this job would quietly consume. I'm not talking about 9 to 5. I'm talking about 9 to midnight, or 1 in the morning, sometimes 3. Then getting up a few hours later to start all over again. My days blurred into call logs and deadlines. My life shrank down to the glow of a computer screen and the ringing of a phone. And for a long time, I convinced myself that was normal. I kept telling myself it was temporary, just a stepping stone, just a tough period, just a phase I'd push through. I told myself the exhaustion was temporary, but instead of moving closer to a better future, I felt myself sinking further into a life that didn't fit me. The stepping stone quietly became the entire path, and one day I looked up and realized I'd stopped choosing my own direction. The thing is, this was never my dream, not even close. I didn't grow up imagining myself explaining coverage limits or negotiating claims. I didn't feel inspired by spreadsheets or policy codes. I chose finance because I thought I should, because it seemed safe, because everyone said it was practical. But practicality can only carry you so far before the quiet ache of wanting something real begins to grow louder. My real passion, the thing that lit me up even as a kid, was weather. I was the girl who ran to the window during storms instead of hiding from them. I was the one who begged my parents to let me stay up to watch the late-night weather updates. I memorized cloud formations, wind patterns, pressure systems, and radar imagery with the kind of enthusiasm most kids had for pop stars. Severe weather especially fascinated me. Not the damage it could cause, but the science, the power, the intricate dance of atmospheric forces. I loved the way a tiny shift hundreds of miles away could ripple outward and become something massive. I loved studying storms as if they were living things with personalities, patterns, histories. I loved the idea that with enough knowledge, you could look at the sky and understand what it was trying to say. I've always envied meteorologists, not for the cameras or studio lights, but because their job is to read the sky like a language, to interpret its warnings, to stand between chaos and clarity and translate what's happening above into something that helps people prepare below. There's a kind of purpose in that work that I've never felt in finance. A sense of meaning, a sense of belonging. But at 29, I had convinced myself that door was closed. I had a degree already. I had a job already. Starting over felt irresponsible, unrealistic, maybe even childish. I told myself I was too old to pursue a dream that didn't have a guaranteed payoff. But the quiet ache didn't disappear. If anything, the older I got, the more it grew, like a small flame in a room I kept pretending wasn't there. One night, during a particularly brutal week at work, I did something I'd never let myself do before. I opened my laptop and started looking up meteorology programs just to see what existed. At first, it felt like torture, like opening a window to a future I wasn't allowed to have. But as I scrolled, something softened. Something opened. I found myself imagining a different version of me. One who chose curiosity over exhaustion. One who didn't settle. And then I found it. An accredited online meteorology program recognized by the National Weather Service, offering a full Bachelor of Science degree. I stared at the page, barely breathing, because for the first time in years, I felt something spark inside me. Not hope, exactly, but a stirring, a jolt, a whisper. This could be your way out. This could be your way forward. This could be you. I must have reread every line of that website a dozen times. It felt ridiculous. Who starts a whole new degree at 29? Who goes back to college while juggling a job that barely leaves room to sleep? Who willingly adds more responsibility when they're already stretched thin? But the more I questioned myself, the more I realized I was tired of letting fear make my decisions. I didn't want practicality to be the only thing steering my life anymore. So eventually, I did something that shocked even me. I applied, and a few weeks later, I got an email that made my hands tremble. I got accepted. I sat there staring at the screen, letting the words sink in. For the first time in a long time, I felt proud of myself. Not for something predictable or expected, but for something brave. Classes start next August. It won't be easy. The finances will be tight. My schedule will be overwhelming. But for once, hard work feels like it might actually lead somewhere meaningful. Because this isn't about career ladders or job titles. It's about proving to myself that I am still allowed to want things. It's about reclaiming the parts of me I buried under deadlines and obligations. Maybe I won't become a TV meteorologist. Maybe all I'll gain is knowledge. But even that feels like a lifeline. Because this choice is mine. This direction is mine. And maybe this, finally, is my turning point. Maybe the storm I've been trapped in is beginning to shift. And sometimes, a spark is enough to change everything. Thank you for listening to tonight's Turning Point Tuesday. If you're standing on the edge of a decision, wondering if you're too old, too late, or too overwhelmed to take the next step. Let tonight's story remind you of this. The moment you choose yourself is the moment your life begins to shift. If this story stirred something in you, I'd be grateful if you liked the video, subscribed, or shared it with someone who needs a little courage tonight. Take care, and I'll see you in the next story.